Hello, planet Earth. Welcome to my YouTube channel. We're at IDK, my BFF Jill 730. I'm Preston L. Young, wishing you warm salutations and congratulations as always. You've made your way to the Buffington Post. Today I will be taking a break from Buffy and I will be reviewing HBO's Season 2 premiere of The Leftovers. Right when I got out of high school, I was just grabbing any book that I could read and just soaking it all in, and I came across a book called Little Children. Many of you may be familiar with the motion picture adaptation of the book, which was also the screenplay for that was written by Tom Perrotta, the author of the novel. The novel itself is just gorgeous. It's very well crafted. All of the characters have very different voices, and it's just about kind of going against the expectations that are out there for you and kind of trying really hard to make a path for yourself in a life that seems set in stone. And just a really beautiful exploration of how far you can actually stretch out of your limitations that really you create for yourself. And so when I saw that Tom Perrotta and Damon Lindelof of Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse from Lost were going to be doing The Leftovers, I was just super excited. I hadn't read the book and I didn't want to spoil myself on anything going in. So I came into The Leftovers last summer and I was really going through some heavy emotional bullshit, and a show came along that was all about loss and grief, and it just really struck me. It was the perfect timing for the show as far as my personal experience, and I was just hooked. I loved the show, and I love Halloween, and so I was actually Guilty Remnant with my friend Jacob for Halloween last year. So yes, the show is gorgeous. It is such a beautiful, beautiful show, and it never talks down to its audience. It expects you to either keep up or give up, and keep up I did, even when I didn't understand. It's just a beautiful, beautiful show, wonderful acting, great cinematography, and now we're going to talk about the Season 2 premiere. So here we go. It's my season premiere of The Leftovers Season 2 review. Okay, so the episode title is Axis Mundi, and that is basically, to put it in short, kind of a gateway between heaven and earth, like a specific part of the earth, which is kind of like the opposite of a hellmouth. It's where the heavens and the earth are kind of in the same kind of dimensional space, and therefore it's kind of like Eden, if you will. And on that point, we get a slew of new characters. I was so happy to see Regina King. You have no idea. I love Regina King. I love the Boondocks. I just think that everything she does is great, and I love seeing her here in a very maternal and strong and, front and center role. I really like the actress, and I think she definitely delivered in the season premiere. So we've got this new family, and we are in Miracle, Texas. And of course, the whole thing of season 1 was introducing us to this world in which the Great Departure had happened. And, there are all these people who, 1 in 50 people just vanished off the face of the earth. We don't know why, we don't know how, we just know that it happened. And we are introduced to this town in season 2 called Miracle, Texas, or Jordan. That's one thing that's really not made clear. Is it Miracle or is it Jordan? Because a lot of people are saying, welcome to Jordan. So that's one thing, but I mean, Jordan obviously has some very heavily Christian or Judeo-Christian themes to it, right? Jordan, right. So anyway, speaking of the names of these people in this miracle, this family, the Murphys, we have John, biblical name. He is married to Erica, the only character in the family who has not got a biblical name. And then they have twins, which I think is really interesting, and I'm wondering if the whole twin thing will have anything to do with anything, but they are Michael and Evie. And of course, you've got Michael the angel, and then you have Eve. So we also are introduced to Isaac, played by Darius McCrary, who I haven't seen since Family Matters, really. So it was really lovely to see him. And we just have a whole new slew of characters, and everything is different. This is where the book leaves us. We have no more novel to kind of guide where the show goes from here, which is really exciting, but also kind of dangerous and scary. But that just goes with the exciting. And so I hope you watch the episode because I'm not just going to recap everything. I'm just going to talk about what really struck me and how I felt about everything. And so we've got the beginning with the woman who is kind of separated from her cave people. And I really took this at first to be kind of primeval peoples, but I'm really not certain if these are people who are from the ancient past or if they are actually people who have gone back to the wild since the Great Departure, or in their case, the lack of a Great Departure. So that part I'm really not certain about. There's a little bit of evidence to either argument because, you would have probably seen the woman, laying there on the beach. But anyway, a lot of people are reading a whole lot into this opening, but the main thing that I took away from it is that, you've got this woman and she gets bitten by the snake and she's trying to protect her baby and she almost gets her baby seemingly to, modern day, to this like help. It's like right there if you take it to mean that she is in modern day. However, she dies, and just when the hawk is circling and you think all hope is lost, a woman comes along and hope is not lost. It's kind of symbolic of the Great Departure. Just, you think that there's just this death and no hope at all, but life does go on. The universe and life finds a way to protect life. And so I found that to be really beautiful. I was like on the point of tears just from the opening of the show, and that's what Leftovers does. It just really gets you. It shows you things and it doesn't explain them to you. It expects you to draw meaning from them. And that's what I really loved about the first season. And that's what I'm loving about the second season so far. So I did enjoy the opening. We've got these earthquakes going on, whether that's in modern day or in primeval times, it matters not because the earthquakes are going into modern day as well. We've got earthquakes, we've got the people who are visiting the town or new to it have to have these wristbands because there's like this whole national park element to it. We see Evie in the beginning taking water from the natural springs there where, the woman had died or whatever. And later on we see her taking her medication with this water. And I wonder if that has something to do with the fact that she had an epileptic seizure, but that's just, my brain going in a million different directions. So yeah, we've got John Murphy, who is like a really heavy sleeper, and at the same time, he hears this cricket. And so the only other time that I've really noticed this cricket trope is from the Nicole Kidman, Sandra Bullock, Sissy Shepherd movie, Practical Magic, wherein the women, they would hear like that cricket and that would mean that their husband was about to die. And so I think that's really intriguing here. The cricket sound is just, it's no good. Please excuse the sound. So the cricket's really weird. The wristbands are super weird. And we've also got this woman who is like watering her lawn in a wedding gown. And I really don't understand this, but again, you're not supposed to understand it per se. You have to draw your own meaning from it, which again, I really like. We've got Evie, and after she goes to choir practice, she goes running wild in the woods with her friends, which is one of the things that leads me to believe that these women that we saw in the very beginning in the caves are actually existing in modern time. I feel like maybe there's something kind of innate in them that's drawing them back into the wild. I'm really not certain, but the idea of her being named Eve and her running naked in the wilderness and then disappearing at the end, I think is just really biblically lovely. And so we got the running wild, which is just super weird. And then we've got this goat sacrifice in the middle of this diner. It's super weird, but at the same time, everybody just kind of brushes it off like it's commonplace. And so you got strange things like this, such as the guy up in the tower who just wants to send a letter to Australia with a no real address, just a very common name, and Australia. So that's strange, obviously. We've got this guy in the trailer who, I don't know, there was a sticker on the trailer next to the door that said something to do with like the Department of Departure. And so I wonder if maybe the town did suffer some kind of departure and they're just kind of covering it up. So that's very, very odd, right? We've got this mystery pie. I'm not going to go too much into the pie. I feel like it's just there. Again, draw your own meaning. I love the show. Oh my gosh. What else? Well, okay, so Isaac is this palm reader-esque guy, Darius McCrary from Family Matters, and he is possibly running this hustle on people, but at the same time, it might not be a hustle. Mysticism and religion and faith are big, big ideas and concepts within the leftovers, and again, it's up to you to decide whether or not these things are real or if the characters just believe them to be real and is believing making things into reality. And so that's another really lovely thing. But anyway, so Isaac, John Murphy is trying to figure out who in the town is exploiting this miracle. And he believes Isaac to be a fraud because they went to school together, and he's like, well, you never showed any kind of aptitude for special magical powers, so I believe that you were faking this, and he and his other firemen go and burn down the house. Now, Isaac has a really interesting conversation with Erica, a nurse, when he goes in to get his cuts all handled. And she says that this is the first time that John has burned down a house. But we learn later that John was in prison for a long time for attempted murder, and when he explains to the Garveys that they don't have any friends, that's why there's nobody at the birthday party, the idea that he's an attempted murderer in a small town makes that believable. So I like that. What else have we got? We've got a sketchy preacher. We get Matt back. Matt is actually the first guy that we see from season 1 in season 2. And Matt is going to be the interim pastor while the sketchy preacher, who doesn't want anybody to know why Mary is getting better, he kind of puts the hush over Matt before he can say, yeah, this is how Mary is getting better. So he's sketchy, and I have a feeling he won't be back from Austin. So anyway, Erica was running out in the woods. Well, we found out that Erica needs hearing aids, so she's legally deaf in some sense. We saw her and Evie communicating through American Sign Language, and so we know that she's legally deaf, but she can hear with the aid of hearing aids. And so she's running through the woods. She goes to this like secret place that she obviously knew about. She starts digging up something in the ground, and it's this box that's been like rubber banded, and there's a bird in there that's alive, which made me think, can things not die in Miracle or Jordan or whatever they're calling it? Can things not die here? Because she seemed surprised but not shocked that the bird was still alive. It was kind of like she was testing her own little hypothesis. And so maybe this Axis Mundi thing is like super real. I don't know. So, back to the guy in the trailer. Michael asked him if he wanted to pray, and he says, sure. I'm not sure what the what is with this, but it's, again, super weird. The fact that John is a really hard sleeper, that's going to come in later. I feel like that's going to play a big role. Evie apparently has epilepsy, and again, I'm wondering if when she had her little spell or whatever, if maybe it was trying to take her, whatever it was, the departure. But again, this is all just so like weird and so kind of mundane at the beginning, or at the same time rather. It's just crazy. We've got the Garveys. Tommy and Laurie are not in the opening episode, so we've yet to find out how their relationship has progressed and what's going to go on with them. Yeah, the Garveys. We've got Kevin Garvey, who seems to be a bit more well-adjusted now that he's in Miracle. You can tell that he and Nora are both trying to really have something solid and real, and Matt and Nora just happening to be in the same town. It's kind of strange, but at the same time, we like those characters, and I'm glad that they brought everybody from the Garvey family, with the exception of Laurie and Tommy, over. We've got Jill, who is just as weird and funny and just kind of strange and gorgeous as ever, and she and Evie and Michael seem to be getting along pretty well. And then we've got Lily, Holy Wayne's daughter, who is of course being raised at this point by Nora and Kevin. And what I like is that we spend most of this episode with the Murphy family, because we'll have the rest of the season to see how Nora and the Garveys kind of have adjusted or will adjust to life in Miracle. And I feel like on some level, this story is kind of about gentrification, the idea of exploiting this miracle, having this place, and then people start to come in and make money off of kind of the novelty of this place. And clearly, John does not like that. He doesn't like that people are exploiting this miracle. And so that's going to be something really lovely to explore. Again, we've got John and what Isaac tells him about something bad happening to him. Fill in your own blanks, which is what I love, again, about this series, because, again, no answers, draw your own meaning. And yeah, whereas the first season was really about loss and grief, I'm interested to see how much of that will go over into this season, especially given the end. There's another earthquake, and of course, Evie and her two friends are missing, and so they go out to the lake situation where we saw them in the beginning. And of course, the earthquake has sucked all of the water out of the lake, and the girls are missing. And so, will the Murphys finally have to deal with this inexplicable loss and grief, and the fear of the unknown of what happened to their daughter, just like everybody from season one was having to do. In season one, I feel like the really lovely part was that we kind of felt in, the first half of the first episode that perhaps Mrs. Garvey had been, taken by whatever it was, the Great Departure. But no, like, the reveal is that they lost her, but not through something greater. And, Laurie, she lost her child from within her. And that was really her catalyst. But as for the rest of the family, they didn't really lose her in the Great Departure, and it was just kind of this unexplained thing. And now we've got the Murphys who are going to be dealing with the same thing from Evie having just disappeared inexplicably. So I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. The Leftovers, Sunday nights are back. There's nothing good. I don't play Walking Dead. Revenge is gone. Once Upon a Time is kind of just resting on its laurels, and Sunday nights are back, and I'm so excited for season 2 of The Leftovers. I hope you guys will come back to my channel and see what I have to say about each episode. I'd love to hear what you thought of the premiere of The Leftovers season 2. Comment below, go ahead, like, comment, share, subscribe, and as always, question. I hope you're having a great 2015 so far, everybody. I'm Preston L. Young, and you can come right back to the Buffington Post anytime for Buffy the Vampire Slayer reviews, Angel and Faith reviews, Buffyverse discussions on the other Slayers, my continued Season 9 coverage, and more. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.